Okay, guys, welcome back to Fish Scales and Shrimp Tails. So, today we're going to talk about the update for the livebearer's tank, and we're going to talk about what an established tank is, or at least what I look for in a tank that I consider established, the sort of characteristics that it might have. So, first things first. This tank is 4.5 months old now, give or take at the time of filming. This is a tank that I would consider an established tank. So what do I mean by that? So we've talked about a transitional tank and the issues that come with that with regards to upkeep and maintenance and algae and fish stress and all these things. And we've talked about a stable tank, which is sort of where I figure the next evolution of a tank typically goes into a balanced tank that requires much less maintenance or effort. An established tank, guys, we're going to talk about one other type of tank, and that's a mature tank when we get there, which is where my Sunkist tank is, which is maybe a slight exaggeration. I might call it somewhere between established and transitioning. So an established tank, guys, this is where we are with this tank. An established tank is a tank where you see more natural behavior of your fish, of the organisms that you have in there. There's clearly microfauna or micro species that are involved in the water now. You'll see copepods swim by all the time. You'll see all kinds of stuff happening. You'll see the natural deterioration of waste and leaves in the water and the little microorganisms that deal with all of that. You'll see plant growth that is consistent and healthy, but it's not ridiculously, nothing happens ridiculously quick in this tank. Although I will say my Java moss grew rather quickly. In fact, while we're talking away here, why don't I just sort of pan around so we can see the rest of the tank now. For those of you that have kept up on the videos, you'll know I was very excited to have gotten rid of all the hair algae out of that Java moss. I spoke too early. I did get rid of about 99% of it, guys, but there is still just a little bit left in there. So an established tank is a tank that you'll probably find you do little to nothing with, which is really where I am with this tank. I don't touch this tank. I don't worry about it. I don't think about it. There are a ton of babies in here right now, as I showed you just in the first shot there before starting the video. That happened in the last 24 hours, and you can clearly see when she swims by, one of the female swords in here has definitely lost some weight, so to speak. She's a lot skinnier than she was. I think she might still have a few in there that she hasn't yet birthed out. But I tried to count them. They're so tiny, and there's so many places for them to hide in here. I'm really not sure, but I'm sure there's at least 15 to 20 in here. I can count 10 to 12 or 13 of them at any given time, and I know there's more in here than that. So I'm taking a complete guess at the number. You might see a couple of them swim around in the background from time to time while I talk. So all right, let's get back to an established tank. So, an established tank is a tank where your fish are happy, they are stress-free, your plants, the whole thing is sort of thriving, there's no real underlying issues for you to worry about, and all you're really doing is maybe your monthly or bi-monthly or however often you want to come in and clip down the occasional plant. Now, you do need to be careful. To be fair, I should have said this in every video. You do need to be careful in each one of these tank types. When you're adding to or removing from the tank, you can always disrupt that balance. So the other day I came in this tank and decided it was time to do a bit of a maintenance session. I clipped down some of the temple grass and replanted it or planted in other tanks. And this Java moss, sorry guys, this Java moss had gotten quite out of control. In fact, it had come all the way down in here, and there was really no light getting to the Echinodorus anymore, and it wrapped all the way around. It had really gotten out of control. Now, I'm glad I did it when I did, because the female sword gave birth shortly thereafter, so at least I wasn't worried about the babies. But you have to watch whenever you're adding to or removing from your tank anything, whether it's fish, plants, water, food, all of it. You have to watch after you do that so that you know whether or not your tank has fallen out of sort of the category you had it in previously. So I still consider this a very established tank. I'm sure that the amount of Java moss I pulled out of here was probably no real big deal, but I will watch it. I really don't do anything to this tank now. I add in a couple of leaves every now and then. I never scrape the glass. I never change the water. I do nothing. I add food, and that's it, and I watch. I'll occasionally see, you know, a dead snail or something in here, and I leave it. He'll just get absorbed by the ecosystem. I'll still stick a toothbrush in from time to time and try and get rid of some of that hair algae, just because I don't want hair algae. I do have floating plants in here, but again, just as in the previous video, they're kind of an indicator to me. I keep an eye on them to see how fast they grow. Most of them don't grow fast at all. In fact, I kind of have a hard time keeping them alive in this tank, if I'm being perfectly honest. It's just reached that stage where everybody here has got its roots dug in, it's figured its position out, and it's just sort of cruising along, doing what it does, which is a great place to have a tank. This is, you know, kind of where you want that tank to be. Requires no maintenance, it requires no upkeep. Everybody's happy. You just poke your eyeballs on here every now and then and make sure nothing's changed. I mean, you know, tanks can switch. They can switch like a light bulb. You don't know what's going to happen. So always keep an eye on it and make sure everybody's healthy. Make sure there isn't anything changing. But this is sort of what you're looking for. It's not the end goal, but this is definitely where you want to get to. I know there's a good microfauna developing in this tank. I know that the soil and everything underneath that I put in with the dirt and the lava rock and everything is now sort of working, maybe not at full steam, but we're working away at breaking waste down, where everything's doing what it needs to be doing. All that microfauna has developed, and like I said, you'll see some of that, you know, float around the tank. You'll see copepods swim by from time to time in here. Fish will chase it around. I saw a hydra or two in here, I think, the other day, which is probably where the other one got it from, and they just gobble it up, and it was gone before it had a chance to land anywhere and put roots down. This is a very healthy tank to have. You don't have to worry about it very much. The plants do most of the work. I do very little. Now, because I have breeding pairs in this tank, this is the only tank that is not running a sponge filter. It is actually running a canister filter, a little Eheim, do they call it a classic or 150? Yeah, it's a small one. And quite honestly, the only thing I have to do is every now and then, because I have filter floss in there, instead of one of the Eheim filters that they had, I run filter floss in it just to keep a nice clean look to the water in here. It wasn't intended to be permanent, but I seem to have lost the original pad, and I'm cheap. I don't want to buy another one, so I just keep using filter floss. So every now and then, I open the filter up, take that top ball of filter floss that I have wadded up in there, put some new stuff in, close the filter up, and off we go again. That's literally all I do. I haven't cleaned out the biomedia or the sponge or any of that since I started this tank 4 months ago. The only thing I do is every now and then I have to open it up to clear out the filter floss. And the only reason I do that is because there's no flow, which is part of the reason why I put an air stone in here that runs intermittently, because when I do forget to do it and the water isn't really flowing out of it, and I mean it isn't, it'll get to a point where it's barely even trickling out. If there's no water flow, there's no aeration. So because I have a tendency to forget sometimes that there's a filter in here that needs to be cleaned, put the air stone in so I don't have to worry about it anymore. And we have happy, healthy fish. That male sword, I will say, and I wish he would He's so excited because the females are all giving birth. That male sword has developed one heck of a sword on his tail. And as near as I can tell, it is still growing longer. Sword tails, to my recollection, correct me if I'm wrong, as long as their tail is growing, you'll see that tip of their tail has this almost translucent or grayish tone to it as it grows. And his is still doing that, so I'm not sure how long that sword is going to get, but at this point, he's gotten it to a pretty impressive size. He looks pretty good. He never did fatten up. I feed him a pretty good diet, and I was hoping to just sort of get him to pack on, I'd say a few pounds, but that would look ridiculous, wouldn't it? Just wanted to pack on some weight, because he still looks a little skinny to me, but he's happy. He eats all the time, keeps all the females pregnant, so I guess he's doing okay. But everybody in here is doing really good. The shrimp are actually breeding in here, and they are successful. There are some little baby shrimp in here you see every now and then, even despite the fact that there's a bunch of predators in here, because Lord knows that the swordtails, if they see a small enough shrimp, is definitely lunch. I mean, they'll eat their own, they'll eat a small shrimp for sure, but with that Java moss and all the hiding spots in here, they catch less of them than you might otherwise think, which is great. So we've got a good little ecosystem going on. Concerns right now about this tank, don't really have any. It hums along, it does its own thing. You can see some of the crypts are dying back, and what this is down here are these old leaves, where this crypt was in a different tank and it had these big tall leaves that it doesn't need in here. Some of this older growth is now dying back, and you can see these new leaves are very crisp, lots of color on them, they look really good, and they're all sort of doing that. All the old growth is kind of dying back, new growth is coming out, and you can see whereas the other ones were really tall before the leaf before, now it's going to be small and bushy, so the leaves will be closer down to the sand. Your more typical crypt. This one was trying to go tall to get to the light levels that were in it. The Echinodorus is still doing remarkably well, even considering how much darkness it endured there with that Java moss covering it for a while. Temple grass is growing. Baby swords, man, I'm hoping you've seen them as they've swum by. I'll do this, and I'll see if I can get around the original baby swords. You can see one right there now. Sorry guys, it doesn't focus real well on them. They're pretty brave now. They swim all over the tank. I'm just trying to see if there's another one somewhere. You can see the new babies. You can see Mama one after them there. You can see them all up in there. Where are the original babies? Man, they were all just out here a second ago. I could see them swimming around. I grabbed the camera to try and show them to you close up, and I can't find them. Oh, there's one of them right now swimming around. It's really hard to tell right now from the images that I'm giving you to work with, unfortunately. I wonder if we can see the new ones if we go up to the top. And yeah, you can see them all. You can only see a couple of them there, but there are a ton of little babies in here. But anyhow, yeah, so the original babies, like this little guy over here, where'd he go? Right in front of me? Of course he's right in front of me. They're starting to get color. Their tails are starting to go black. Their bodies are starting to get a little bit of orange to them. So they're starting to develop. So I'm going to have to start thinking about where to go next, because if the other mama gives birth in here and then 30 to 60 days later we have more of them in here, I'm going to have more fish than I have space. So I don't know. I might have to set up a temporary tank somewhere. Oh, there's one of the other little babies coming up to the forefront here now. Don't disappear on me, buddy. The camera will focus on everything but the fish, right? So he's looking pretty good. He's getting a little color to him, right? There's some more up here. There's the other two swimming around. Those are the original ones. So they're a fair bit bigger than the other guys. So they're getting color. Their fins have turned black, so they're doing good. Anyways, guys, short video. I hope it explained a little bit to you. Like I said, you know, I'm just trying to give you an idea of things to look for, guys, on your tanks. Don't feel like your tanks need to reach a certain stage within a certain aspect or period of time. That's not the point of my going through this for you. It's just to give you an idea of, you know, maybe where you're at with your tank and what you need to look for. Ask any questions you want in the comments, guys. I do try to stay on top of them and answer them as often as I can. But yeah, so I feel like we're definitely an established tank with this one. Really not a whole lot of worry. I do need to get a lid. I will say I do have to add water to this tank more often than any of the other ones, just simply because it doesn't have a lid, and I want to get a better light. I know this light is doing fine, and I might regret changing it, but I do like to have sort of all the same things on all the same aquariums down here so that I can better keep track of what I need to do or where we might be with it. It's just easier for keeping track of lighting levels and that sort of thing if everything's the same. So that's it for now, guys. Hope you had a great day. Take care, and we'll talk to you in the next one.